Three-row SUVs are more popular than ever before, and the segment is more competitive than ever before. In the 2020 model year alone, we're looking at 3 new vehicles: the all-new Kia Telluride, the fully redesigned Ford Explorer, and this, the all-new Hyundai Palisade. Though the Palisade is the last of these 3 to come to market, I think that it is well worth the wait because, much like the Telluride, with which it bears more than a passing resemblance, it is very, very good. Now, the 2 vehicles are kind of like other Hyundai Kia vehicles in that they share a lot of components, especially mechanically. So underneath, the 2 have the exact same powertrain, the same chassis, a lot of the same body structure, but everything that you see and touch is different on the Palisade than the Telluride. So the exterior styling, the interior materials, and the dashboard layout are all different, and the Palisade also comes with a few unique features which I think do give it a leg up on the Telluride. We came to Idaho to put the Palisade through its paces, driving it both on and off-road to see if it can stack up to the best that this segment has to offer. So while the Telluride has more kind of rugged styling inside and out, the Palisade opts for kind of a cleaner, more modern look. So it starts up here with the dashboard. This has the optional 10.25-inch large multimedia touchscreen. Actually very well placed. Sometimes these large touchscreens are hard to reach for the driver, especially on the far side. But here in the Palisade, very easy to reach both sides. I don't have to like lean way forward to reach even the far side of the screen, which is something that I appreciate. One way that the Palisade differentiates itself from the Telluride is this 12.3-inch fully digital display cluster. So this is standard on limited models like the one that we're in, and it is a very, very good application of a digital gauge cluster. Sometimes these screens can be overwhelming. They can either feed you too much information or sometimes they're too simple and don't feed you enough. This one is kind of just right. So you can actually change up what shows up in the middle of the screen and it will bump that information to the right side. So let's say you want to see how all your safety functions are working, it will move your trip meter or how much range you have left to the right side, effectively using both spaces. The Palisade also comes with a very cool bit of technology. So Honda introduced Lane Watch, a feature that when you turn on the right turn signal, they would actually show what was in your right side blind spot. The Palisade kind of takes that technology to the next level. So it works now whether you have the turn signal to the left or to the right, and it will actually take over part of the screen to show you actively what's in the blind spot. So it'll say you're merging to the left, flip on the left turn signal, it'll show you temporarily on the left side of the screen where the speedometer is, what's in your left side blind spot. Flip it to the right, it does it on the right side where the tack is. So where your eyes would naturally go when you kind of turn a turn signal, that's the side that they use, and very high resolution cameras, very easy to see what's in those blind spots. Even though visibility is pretty good all around in the Palisade, it's got big windows on all sides, this is still a very welcome feature for those who want to merge safely. Another big difference between the 2 vehicles is the Palisade doesn't have a traditional gear shift. So it actually goes to a push-button gear selector, which I don't like, but what I do like is that Hyundai actually did something with the space. So by going from a traditional gear selector to these buttons here, they've opened up the space in the center console. You have a nicely sized bin that has a wireless charging pad right here, but what you really gain is this underneath storage space where Hyundai has also put another USB port and a 12-volt charging port as well. Driving the Palisade is pretty similar to driving the Telluride, and that is a good comparison. Under the hood, the same 3.8 liter V6 making 291 horsepower, and it comes mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. The Palisade rides and drives very confidently. There's enough power from the engine that it doesn't feel super taxed in getting the Palisade up to speed, which is impressive for such a large vehicle as this. So whether you're going from 0 to 20 or trying to get up to speed to pass someone on a highway, we're able to do both things very quickly and with a lot of confidence. Especially when you're in sport mode, which kind of heightens the throttle response. The Palisade doesn't necessarily feel quick, but it does give you enough confidence that you're going to be able to make it up and on ramp or pass someone in the time that you need to. This is the limited model, so 20-inch optional wheels, and sometimes with larger wheels, vehicles don't ride as well. I actually think this car still rides very well. It can get a touch noisy over rough roads, and there's a decent bit of wind noise, but those are both things that you can say about the Telluride, and they didn't prevent me from having conversations with people in the cabin without having to raise my voice. For folks who do need to reach the third row with their voice, there is a kind of like a mic projector. So you can just turn something on in the multimedia screen, and then your voice actually gets broadcast over the speakers. So if you need to yell down some unruly children, there's an easy way to do that. Speaking of the third row, that's the other way in which the Palisade differentiates itself from the Telluride. It actually has a powered third row. So there's this helpful array of buttons here in the cargo area, and they allow you to raise and lower the third row and the second row even without any more effort than pressing a button. So both separate switches for both the left and the right side, and from here you can actually lower all the seats down to open up a nice large cargo area. I also put the Palisade through what I like to call the 3 Bryans test. So my online dating profile, it might say that I'm 6 feet tall, but in real life, I'd say I'm more like 5'11", okay, like 5'10 and a half. And what I do is I set up the front seat to where I like to drive, and then go to the second row, set that up to a comfortable place behind the front seat, and then climb into the third row to see if you can actually fit 3 adult passengers front to back in the SUV. The Palisade does pass the Bryan test, but barely. So you can definitely fit adult passengers back there. I had enough legroom and headroom. However, there's not enough back support in the seat, and the floor is kind of high, so your knees do rest off of the seat, which means that it won't be comfortable sitting back there for longer trips. So I would say you could put someone back there for like an hour and they'd be all right, but for 3 or 4 hours and they might mutiny. Hyundai also did a very good job, much like Kia did, of putting a lot of amenities in the second and third row. So second row passengers here actually get heated and ventilated captain's chairs, and in the third row you have power tilt and recline, as well as 2 USB ports. So plenty of charging options all around, and plenty of amenities for first, second, and third row passengers. With all those extra features on board, you might think that the Palisade costs more than the Telluride, but actually, fully loaded, it comes in at about $300 less. The vehicle behind me is right around $47,000, and that gives the Palisade excellent value in this segment, where other vehicles such as the Explorer can top out near $60,000. So with this vehicle, you're looking at a lot of value, some great features, and a really thoughtful interior that I appreciate. Now, the difference between the Palisade and the Telluride, even with that slight difference in price, I think that you could choose either one without giving up too much. It's really going to kind of come down to styling. So if you want something that looks more rugged, you might lean towards the Telluride, and if you want something that looks more modern and urban, the Palisade might be for you. Either way, you can't really go wrong. Both are excellent vehicles, and they give Hyundai and Kia an excellent 1-2 punch in this very popular segment.